What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and we have got Legendary Nanna as our latest Earth Legendary unit. So she is a Sword Cavalier and she can also give you extra resistance and HP from her Blessing. She's actually a pretty solid unit because of her preferred weapon, Lance Sword. I almost said Landris Sword, but yeah, this is based on the Earth Sword. I don't know why they changed that, but in any case, this weapon gives her +3 attack, essentially making this a 19 might weapon. And she can also get +6 attack and speed during the combat. It also has partial null follow-up built into it, which means that she can bypass any kind of units who have got follow-up negation. This has got amazing synergy with her slot B skill. And not only that, this weapon will also disable any kind of damage reduction skill that scales based off a %, and it also disables any kind of damage reduction special, which can be triggered from her attack. And then after the combat, she can heal 7 HP, which, pretty much makes up for the chip damage that she can take from the push skill. This weapon is really unique because it flat out disables damage reduction, unlike a lot of the skills like Deadeye or Lethality, which only disable damage reduction when those specials are actually triggered. So just to give you an idea, this is all of the things that her weapon can disable. These are different forms of damage reduction. So defensive specials like Escutcheon, Pavis are going to be getting disabled as well. We didn't really have any other skill which could do that before. Even Miracle is going to be disabled by the special, and Vital Astra is no different. It's already susceptible to Lethality and Deadeye, so it's also going to get disabled, which is really weird because it just got released. And even negating Fang of Legendary Corrin and Life Unending of Legendary Fae is going to get disabled by her preferred weapon, because again, any kind of damage reduction special that triggers based on Nanna's attack is going to be disabled. So this makes her a very solid unit, and she does something which no other weapon could do before. And obviously we have these damage reduction skills. Fallen Star is definitely a pretty good highlight here because Claude is also an Earth Legendary unit, so she's going to be facing him quite a bit. And you can also see how it can disable a lot of the other damage reduction skills which are really popular, like Spurn, Dragon Wall, and even Deflect Melee is not going to be helping you against Nanna. Like I said before, a lot of skills disable damage reduction when the special triggers, and many units can pretty much run some kind of guard skill to prevent that special from going off. But this is not going to be helping versus Legendary Nanna because every single hit, she's going to be disabling damage reduction. Flame is also really popular, but Nanna just cuts through that. Gustav does have that 80% damage reduction, but that's not going to be mattering against Nanna, and Gustav actually has not that great of a matchup against Nanna. Pirate Surtur has the same weapon, but he's actually blue, so at least he has got weapon strangle advantage. Same goes for Valentine Lucina and her weapon, and Bravite completely gets dunked on by Nanna. We also have Cavaliers like Legendary Erica, which have damage reduction built into their weapon. There are dragons like Spring Myr and the Adrift Corrins, which do have damage reduction in their weapon, and Courtly Candle is a pretty common weapon that is run on a lot of slower lance units so that they can get the damage reduction. And Legendary Nanna has no trouble cutting through the damage reduction of these units consistently through her weapon. So Legendary Nanna can cut through a lot of the damage reduction, but cannot cut through the flat damage reduction that is provided by someone like Spring Maria or Flow Flight. We also have Hardy Fighter and Shield Pulse, but they indirectly get countered by Nanna because they are usually used in combination with Pavis or Escutcheon. But yeah, basically Spring Maria and Flow Flight are some of the few things that Legendary Nanna cannot really cut through. Unless they start releasing more units like Spring Maria, who has got flat damage reduction, Nanna is going to be able to cut through most amount of damage reduction, and that is her strength with this weapon. She's got Miracle, which is kind of funny because she can disable foes' miracles with her preferred weapon. She also has attack speed push 4, and her exclusive slot B skill, Hother's Zeal. So this has got a Neo Trace skill built into it. This is not a flat Canto that we have seen on Brave Erica or Regan, for example. This is a Neo Trace skill, which means that the remaining movement of Nanna is going to be getting added to her Canto, and that's what she's going to be using. So even though this is not like a flat Canto, this is still pretty useful in Arena and also in Summoner duels. And then this skill can also give her true damage based on 20% of her attack stat, which makes her a really strong unit because as it is, she's going to be having pretty good attack stat. And then finally, it also has instant desperation built into it, or you could even say it is like a dive bomb. So the instant desperation of her slot B skill has got really good synergy with the partial null follow-up built into her weapon. and a lot of times with her 2 attacks, she's going to be able to kill a lot of units with the true damage that she gets, and also the fact that she disables most of the damage reduction. So her combat is going to be pretty clean in terms of that. From the trailer, I did calculate, and it seems like she's got around 39 base attack. So she's got pretty good attack stat, and she's obviously going to be pretty fast to make use of the instant desperation of her slot B skill. And her bulk isn't really going to be mattering a lot because she's got that instant desperation, so she's not going to be taking counter attacks in many matchups, so she's not going to be taking too much damage if she wins the matchups. She could run into trouble against extremely fast units or extremely bulky blue units who also have the guard effect, which will prevent her from using her special, and because they're blue, they're going to be bulky enough to tank 2 hits from her even if she can do the true damage. So those are going to be the main forms of countering Nanna, and of course she's a melee unit, so you can pretty easily snipe her. So overall, Legendary Nanna is a really solid Earth Legendary unit who has got a unique playstyle of disabling damage reduction straight away. If you want to build her up, then her base kit is fine, but I know many people do not really like the chip damage, so in that case, a catch skill would be pretty nice. Attack speed catch does have good synergy with the debuffs of attack speed menace, so it does synergize pretty well. Attack speed solo can also work, and she does heal up HP from her weapon, so the chip damage of the push skill is not the biggest deal as it pretty much gets counteracted. She's going to be able to score like a 195 BST legendary unit because of having a 300 SP slot B skill, and when you combine a 300 SP slot A and slot C skill, she can score that high. So she's pretty much the highest scoring Earth legendary unit. You can also use her with Heavy Blade and maybe a 2 cooldown special like Ruptured Sky for arena purpose. Gale Force is also an option, but she doesn't have a -1 special cooldown, and because of not having Null Guard in her kit, the guard effect, like I said, is going to be a pretty big annoyance for her if you decide to commit with Heavy Blade as a Sacred Seal or a slot A skill. So she's a pretty straightforward offensive unit who can cut through a lot of the damage reduction, even the damage reduction specials, which makes her match up better against certain legendary units. Let's compare her to the other Earth legendary units, and this is my Earth tier list. The combat potential in arena and the matchups are considered heavily, and also the arena scoring, and it also matters how they function outside of arena like in Ether Raids or Summoner duels. And of course, Legendary Claude stays the king of the Earth season because he's just way too good with that flying mobility Fallen Star, so there's really not much to explain there, but I would say that Legendary Nanna is pretty much the second best Earth legendary unit. While she's a melee unit and sometimes the trenches are going to be annoying, she still has really solid combat with the anti-damage reduction, the Trace skill, and also having the true damage while also being the highest scoring Earth legendary unit at 760. So it's pretty easy to justify her placing after Legendary Claude. And then in tier 3 we do have some ranged legends, and ranged units do matter in arena because you can snipe the opponents, and because of having a higher threat range, you can pretty much force the AI to use their rally skills and loop. But still, Legendary Julia and Legendary Alm don't really score the highest, and they are definitely waiting for their remix and refines. Legendary Tiki did get a new weapon refine and remix, and that definitely pushes her several tiers up. If you remember my Legendary Faye video, she was pretty much chilling with Legendary Ike in the bottom tier, but now because of her remix, she can actually function as a pretty decent far save tank and can also run Savvy Fighter, which is a new skill in her arsenal, which provides her with the null follow up, which is going to be helpful in many matchups if you do speed stack her at max investment. So having seen Legendary Tiki used a lot in arena, she is a pretty decent unit despite being this old and despite being an armor unit with 1 movement. In the tier 4 we do have units which are pretty decent, but sometimes they can struggle in certain matchups. We do have Legendary Faye, Legendary Grima, and Legendary Seliph. Legendary Faye is a pretty bulky tank, but she's of course weak to the null follow-up skills, and Ruptured Sky can be a nuisance for a lot of dragons in arena. And now we'll have to see how Nanna deals with Legendary Faye, despite the fact that Faye does have the weapon strangle advantage. Legendary Grima's combat potential is honestly pretty good because after the refine she has got the guard effect built into her weapon, and now Dragon Skin 2 can basically ignore the visible buffs of the opponent, which is super useful in arena, and she can be a huge stat ball after her remix and refine, but unfortunately she doesn't really score the highest and she's a melee unit. Flying mobility can definitely be useful though. Legendary Seliph can score well, but he's just way too honest and can have trouble tanking in the enemy phase, and of course he doesn't really have a player phase, and we do have Legendary Nanna now as a really strong Sword Cavalier. And in the Ike tier we have got Ike because he has got Radiant Ether too, and that's pretty much it. He doesn't really win a lot of the matchups against modern arena threats and also legendary units. That's probably because he was given out as a free unit, but still nonetheless it's pretty sad. And now let's take a look at the other units from this banner. Legendary Sigurd is a good color sharing unit with Nanna, and he can be useful for arena scoring, and he's still a pretty good unit with that Holy Knight aura giving him the permanent +1 movement, and then if he triggers his special, all of his allies can get +1 movement. Of course, there is the usage of safe strategies now, so even if he just gives all of his allies +1 movement, you can prevent them from sniping your team by using a far safe tank, and of course take him on with a near safe tank. His fodder is decent with attack, defense, catch 4 and fatal smoke, which you could get at the same time, and fatal smoke is a bit more niche where it's to be used on Ether Raid's defense and I guess on units like Thracia. Legendary Lilina is a pretty good cavalry nuke with that AoE special gifted magic and her weapon studied 4 blaze, which also has hardy bearing built into it, so it can actually help you in summoner duels nowadays if you see some vantage strategy. So Lilina can be a great help in that regard, but mainly she's going to be functioning for nuking really hard by running a double life and death build, and she definitely has more options now with a trace skill. Her fodder is not really all that good. Sabotage resistance is present on Solon. Attack res solo is not the greatest here for skill. Pulse smoke is the main skill that she provides, and it's not that commonly used skill. It is useful sometimes in Ether Raid's offense, Rooker's Siege, but nowadays it's more useful in summoner duels where people do run pre-charge special units like Desert Carla maybe, and of course Duo Chrom and a lot of other stuff pre-charging their specials, but still there are other skills which can be run for Slotsy on a lot of units. Wolf is one of the better colorless bow cavaliers with his preferred weapon, which pretty much has instant desperation built into it. Kinda similar to the instant desperation that Legendary Nanna has got in her slot B, but unlike Nanna, he doesn't really have a way of getting partial null follow up. So a lot of times against bulky units who have follow-up negation skills, he's not able to double them, which is going to be the main drawback of him. The other units who have instant desperation like him, like Nanna or Ullr, have, you know, some way of getting past the follow-up negation skills, but unfortunately Wolf does not. Still, he could be useful if you're trying to use him with Bridal Catria. He can actually be pretty scary with that, but yeah, overall a pretty decent unit, and his fodder is alright. Life and Death 4 is mainly going to be used on units who want to have the visible attack stat, which is mostly going to be required for a lot of AoE nukes, because they are mainly the units who want to have this skill. On a lot of other units, you can, just get by running other skills like attack speed catch 4, Sword Sparrow, attack speed push 4, and not necessarily reduce your bulk by running Life and Death. Panic Smoke is a decent skill, but now we do have Null Panic with Legendary Azura and her Grey Waves too, and also Ashera. So there's definitely ways that you can protect your units from this kind of panic smoke. Still, it could be useful on Ether Raid's defense or units who like to have a lot of debuffs on their enemies. Ashe is easily one of the best free-to-play units ever, and she's also extremely good light mythic unit because she can support your entire team with opening retainer, which basically provides you with a 2-space guidance, and she herself is a really solid unit with her weapon, which has follow-up negation, auto follow-up, and gives her a lot of attack. And this also makes her into a really solid Gale Force unit, and that's pretty much how I use her in most of my games. She also helps with safe tanking teams because you can teleport easily with her opening retainer, and even in the in-game content you guys have seen me use her a lot in my free-to-play guides. She's also pretty good in summoner duels, and you can actually run a shield pulse, deflect magic build to make her into a pretty bulky frontliner who can also enable the teleportations. So overall, a really solid unit, and a lot of people are going to be trying to get merges for her because a lot of people use her as their 6th slot Ether Raid's offense unit. And her fodder is also pretty nice with attack defense unity and level attack defense, which you could get at the same time, and this is going to be useful mostly for the slow physical infantry units. Mila is also a really good light mythic unit color sharing, and after the safety fence she has improved a bit because recovery skills like Odd Recovery and Sarah are not really all that common, and you can simply wait it out with the safety fence and still isolate the dancers, and she can isolate stuff like Duo Peony, Triandra, the Desert Azura and stuff like that. But if not all, then most teams are going to be having Dancer Eltigan, who's going to be preventing isolation from Mila by having really high defense with the boost that he gets from Note. So she can still struggle to isolate those kinds of dancers and high defense unit, but still nonetheless, she's a great support unit with her isolation for hit and run strategy with a lot of the really strong player phase units that we have got, and she mainly wants to just stack up her defense. Her fodder is alright with bracing stance, and that is the main skill that is going to be useful as it's only available on her and Winter Mirabilis. And Sabotage Attack is now present on Salem, so there's really no point in foddering her off, so she mainly provides with a tier 4 stand skill and a rally plus skill. That can be useful on a lot of tanks that want to boost up their both defenses. Ullr is a pretty nice light mythic unit who can function as a good wall breaker or as a nuke, mainly because her bow has got the null guard built into it and she can easily trigger Deadeye by using that. And then her slot B skill has got instant desperation and partial null follow up. So this allows her to get past a lot of bulky tank units and a lot of armor units as well. And she can always make use of the sorcery blade skill so that she can get past some of the more defensive armor units, because you're going to be having support of her Peony, and that's pretty much how I use her with sorcery blade, and she can hit really hard with that. She also can function as a pretty nice Bright Shrine Soaker, because Holy Ufel also provides her with neutralization of debuffs on her attack and speed. So you can easily run her with double life and death, and she'll just soak up all of the debuffs and have no problem with that. With Summoner Duels being out, she's also a really great unit there, especially with Brattle Catria, because she can basically attack 4 times and have the null guard and hit really hard. And a lot of players do use her with that kind of role because she can get past a lot of Hardy Fighter armor units with this kind of Brattle Catria support and her amazing base kit. Ullr's fodder is also really good, providing the premium special for archers in Deadeye and also Time Pulse at the same time. But if your archer is not infantry, then you can get Life and Death 4 and Deadeye at the same time. Legendary Chrom is still a formidable legendary unit despite the fact that we have got Duo Chrom who can do so much more and support a lot more with his weapon by charging up these specials. But nonetheless, Legendary Chrom still stays as a really solid legendary unit in the water season because 2 Change Fate gives you amazing support, which is so invaluable in arena. And even though he doesn't have the auto follow-up of Duo Chrom, he can still hit pretty hard with his preferred weapon. And you're going to be seeing a lot of speedy Chroms as well, stacking up that speed to make him more bulky and so that he can naturally double attack. His fodder is decent, but kind of niche at this point because it's all about specialization and there are not too many mages or range units in general who want to run close counter over the other slotty skills that can give them the extra attack. Lull attack defense is pretty nice, but it's also present in the Divine Code section, and you know, Rouse skills are going to be available on the real units eventually, so his fodder is not the most top tier, but still it can be useful on certain units. Seiros is the staple Anima Mythic unit who can open up the 7th slot, and a lot of times people are going to be choosing to use her over Ullr because she's going to be a lot more bulky when taking the hits because of the follow-up negation that her weapon has got, and also how bulky she can get with the Dragon Wall build, and she can also provide with the Wings of Light support to combat mythics like Thrasir, Duma, Leif, and stuff like that. Her fodder could be useful for dragons who want to run Dragon Wall, but a lot of times those dragons don't really have the need of running Mirror Impact, which is mainly a player phase skill, which she mainly uses for Ether 8's defense for stopping the follow-up attacks. Rennac in the green pool pretty much provides you with some good disarm trap and vicious dagger fodder, but as a unit himself he's dunked by Cap, who's present in the lower rarity and is a lot easier to plus and merge. Vicious Dagger is pretty much like a non-seasonal version of Courtly Fan, and Disarm Trap is amazing on a lot of dagger units like Ninja Lin, Air, Yuri, and stuff like that, so he's mainly going to be used for that. Legendary Celica is also in the green pool, and the competition with the green infantry mages is definitely pretty tough, especially with units like Legendary Byleth being present on the Hero Rises banner. So Soul of Zofia does have null follow-up and also has Desperation, but sometimes getting into the Desperation range can be hard for Celica by surviving hits. Still, it is helped with the Fury Sacred Seal that we now have. Her fodder is not really all that top tier, it's just Swiss Sparrow 3, which you could also get out of the Divine Code section, and Attack Speed Oath is already present on Ninja Shamir, so if you get a lot of copies of her, then pretty much just merge her up, and she's gonna be due for a weapon refine hopefully, so I hope that she can get a nice remix as well. The final unit on this banner is gonna be Thrasir. So Thrasir has of course fallen off a bit in Ether 8's defense metagame because of a lot of the far safe tanks and just so much bulkier units that we have now who can tank her, and the follow-up negation can definitely be annoying for Thrasir. because killing intent is basically like an instant desperation, but she doesn't really have a partial null follow-up. So a lot of times against a common tank like Brave Hector, she's not going to be able to double attack him. And these bulky tanks can stack up so much support with the mythic blessings, the distant guards, and then the flame damage reduction that a lot of times Thrasir is unfortunately going to be falling a bit short when it comes to doing damage. Her fodder is pretty nice with Flashing Blade 4. This could of course be a pretty useful skill for a lot of infantry units who want to get the true damage and don't really want to run this as a Sacred Seal and have it open. Panic Smoke, like I explained, is a decent option, but it does face a lot of competition, and it's quite interesting to see how many units we have in this banner who have some kind of dive bomb effect or instant desperation. Even the new legendary unit, Legendary Nanna. So overall, this banner does provide you with good value in the red color, having earth, wind, and fire legendaries. So if you're trying to merge up these legendary units for your arena core, then it can definitely help you with different cores at the same time. That's pretty much the best case scenario in a legendary banner where you want to get all of the units color sharing. Colorless does have 2 light mythics color sharing, so it could be really good for increasing merges on that, and that could be helpful in ranking in Aether Raid's offense. Nanna can also be a good spark option if you do have FE Pass. She can definitely be a strong unit in the bonus seasons of Arena and also in Summoner duels, and could also be used in Aether Raid's defense, but again she's going to be season logged. And blue is decent color with Ullr, Legendary Chrom, Seiros, but green is pretty much the worst color on this banner in my opinion. So some banners to look forward to are going to be these. Also keep in mind that Legendary Nanna banner is going to be lasting for an entire 2 weeks, so you can easily wait and see what kind of other banners show up. So Young Heroes banner does happen in April, so it could be Awakening banner because of its 10th anniversary. There's also Shadows of Valentia with canonical kids units in the prologue, and there's also Telius that could happen with Young Ike. So a lot of people are quite excited for the Young banner, so you could look forward to that. There's also going to be a new Heroes banner, not really entirely sure what it is going to be this time, and the double special hero banner is going to be having Summer Freyr, Winter Lysithea, Ninja Corinth potentially, so something else to look forward to. And then Golden Week always happens at the end of April in FE, so it could potentially give us a Hero Fest, because if you look at the reruns, there's some weird things going on with the May reruns. There's like 4 green units being shown with Legendary Byleth, Orchestral, so maybe it could be a Hero Fest, who knows. And next month is probably going to be a Mythic Hero Battle, so maybe it could be a colorless unit for Dark or Anima season, not entirely too sure. It could even be Light, but definitely not going to be Astra because we just got Elamine. So if you like the color sharing, maybe you could save for this banner. So that's pretty much going to be my banner review. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Make sure to share this video with your friends who are trying to summon on this banner. And if you enjoyed, then make sure to leave a like and a comment. Helps me tremendously, and if you really enjoyed, you can always support me directly by using Super Thanks or by becoming a YouTube member. And for more FE videos, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because YouTube sub boxes are about as functional as damage reduction specials against Legendary Nanna. So with that said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.